today. Notice I've showed no work on here because I've done this so many times. I know what I am doing if it's going to be sine, cos, tan, or if it's going to be multiply or divide without having to write it down anymore. Yeah, subtle. Pretty smooth. Oh, mine's smooth. It doesn't make any noise. Everybody good? No questions? I'll answer questions about anything. Why is your pen flashing?
It wasn't flashing. I was asking a question. Why is it not?
Oh. Well, because there's a bad contact between your battery and your... Well, I think it's so you can write at night.
It is.
It's pretty badass, actually.
It doesn't work, so it's not even as cool. Because you're supposed to be like, It's pretty sick, honestly. It like illuminates like the immediate writing area. It's nice. It just doesn't.
All right. If you want it to always work, I would recommend folding up a little bit of tin foil between the battery and the contact. All right. Everyone is Gouda? Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, the more astute members of the class will have noticed that at the very end of this assignment, I started giving you questions that had no triangle. Right? You had to construct the triangle. That is what the rest of the trig unit... Well, I lie. That is what the rest of the first half of the trig unit will be like. Okay? All right. Now, when you turn the page over, which you are about to do, unless anybody has any questions. Okay? When you turn the page over, you will notice at the top of the page is a project. That will be done tomorrow because I like to do it on Fridays. Okay? So you're not going to do that until tomorrow. What we're going to do today is start talking about these types of questions where you have to make your own triangle. So you have to envision what the world looks like that we are applying these measurements to. Everybody cool? Now there's two ways to go about doing this. One, you can just say, it's trig, I need a triangle. And draw it. You can do that. But sometimes the triangle needs to be rotated around. So that's not always the best strategy. But it will often work. So, there is nothing new here. We are just doing sine, cosine, and tangent. The only difference is you have to make your own triangle. So you read the question and you find your data that is in there. First of all, what are we looking for? Every number is obviously important, yes? So, where do I see numbers? I see I got an angle of 30 degrees. I see I got 42. Now I got to apply it to the real world. It is an angle of elevation, which means to have an angle, I must have two lines, correct? To have an angle of elevation, I must have what two lines? Levi. A horizontal line. And then what? A line going up. That creates an angle of elevation. Where is the angle of elevation? Right in the middle, 30. Can I do trig yet? No, because I do not have a triangle. What makes this a triangle? I draw a third side. Now I look at the situation. Ike is 42 meters away from the base of the school. Well, the school is the thing that goes up in the sky, yes? So here is school. How far away is Ike? Is Ike 42 meters from the top of the school? No, of course not. Ike is 42 meters from the bottom of the school. So where does the 42 go? The hypotenuse or the horizontal line? The horizontal line. And the question is, how tall is the school? There is your unknown. And now we're back to trig, just like we've done for the last 8 pages. What's theta? 30. What do I have? I have an adjacent of 42, and I have an opposite of x. What uses A and O? Tan. Tangent of what? 30 equals what? X over 42. Number on the bottom means what? 42 tan 30 equals x. Now stop for 1 second. I know that every single one of you knows that when the number's on the bottom, you're going to multiply. I know you know that. But I will humbly suggest to you that you actually write this out. And if that's not the end of the question, you do not solve that. You leave it written that way. Because if you're going to work later on, you're going to need that value. And maybe you're going to do something with that value later on. If you don't solve it right now, you don't have to worry about rounding and all that sort of poo. You can just leave it like this. And then later on, if I was going to say, have more calculations here, you could just, in your calculator, do it once, 42 tan 30. I'll show you what I mean on a future question, but I want you to keep this in your head. This is a very good step to actually write down. Now, even though it's the end of the question, in future, we may be using more. Everybody cool? So I would recommend writing down that actual step. And the answer, of course, is what? 24 exactly? 22.5. Okay. Oh, 24.25. So 24.3 would be fine. Gouda? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Okay. Now, this very next question is an example of what can happen if you just draw a triangle. Blech. Because when you read the question, you see that the abbey is the person, not the town, is in an airplane. So really, this triangle should be flipped over, shouldn't it? So be careful with just drawing a triangle. So Abby's up in the airplane. Where does the airplane live? Up in the sky. So here is Abby. Up in the sky. And she is flying that way. Agreed? How far off the ground is she? 2,500 feet. Right? So I could put a line there. That's 2,500. Or I could put a line there. That's 2,500. Which makes more sense? The one on the right. Why? Because I want an angle of depression. Because the town of Mission is over here. Where is the angle of depression? Is it at A or B? B. This is the angle that I need. Now listen to me carefully. When I do this type of question, my students often do not read it properly. Does this question ask me how far Abby is from Mission or something else? It's something else, isn't it? Because how far Abby is from the town of Mission is the hypotenuse, isn't it? That's how far she is, but that's not the number I want, is it? I want to know how far the plane has to travel in the air before it is over Mission. And this is a type of physics problem that we often get into, talking about relative motion, where the plane is going, or the car, or this, or that, or whatever. Not its actual distance from what we're aiming for. Everybody understand? You have to be careful to read the questions. So we are actually looking for this distance. Everybody cool? Now, because the triangle's flipped over, does anything change? Does anything change? Do I still have a theta? What is it? 15. What else do I have? I have an opposite of 2,500. And what do I need? and adjacent, and that's what I don't know. What uses O and A? Tan 15 equals O, 2,500 over X. Letter on the bottom means division. Do this step. It will be helpful to you later. And then go to your calculator to tell me the answer. Oh, not meters. Dummy head. Feet. Do I really care? Of course not. Everybody good? Everybody's okay? It's easy, right? Read the question. Draw a triangle. Theta, sides you have, do trig. So simple, yes? Number 11 is horribly done all the time. Read it. Do not try to draw anything. Talk to your neighbor. Discuss how you would consider drawing the triangle for number 11. Try it up here in case you do it wrong. You should have enough room. So, what do you know about this road? I will draw the road in black because roads are black. If the road starts here, where does it go? Oh, the screen is blue. You're right. If the road starts here, where does it go? Up. So that makes our triangle, doesn't it? Everyone agree? Do we know anything about that triangle? Yes. How far does it rise? 1 for every 19 meters measured along the road. Where is the 19? Is it yellow or is it green? It is yellow. The road goes up. When you drive up to a mountain, Priya, you drive up the mountain. You do not dig your way through the middle of it to some elevator here and get lifted up to the top. Unless, of course, you were at SeaWorld and you were riding the Atlantis ride. If you have not been to SeaWorld, I highly recommend you go to SeaWorld and ride the Atlantis ride. It's really cool. Yes, you go in an elevator up to the top instead of like on a roller coaster going up a hill. It's really neat. Anyways, so here is the 19. Now, I want to know how far does a car travel horizontally when it travels 300 meters on the road. What do we know about this road? It is going to travel, it is going to make that triangle now, isn't it? What is this going to be? 300, correct? Right? Now, I have two choices here. I could do trig, couldn't I? Because I have enough information to find that theta, yes? And is that theta going to be the same as that theta? Of course it is. So I could use trig. What else could I do? Levi. It's a similar triangle. Of course it is. So 19 over 300 has to equal what? You'd have to find this first, wouldn't you? No, it's right, but you would have to find this first. Yes? Yeah, you could do 19 over 1, which would mean this would have to be... The point of the question is there's a lot of ways to do it, right? You could go 19 over 1, but then you still can't. You still need this, because this is the answer I seek, yes? Eka. Pardon me? Yeah, but that won't give you this number. That will tell you the ratio. It will help you find it, but you still need this green number if you're not going to do trig. Does everybody understand? Now, how are we going to do this? Is this a unit on trig? So I'm going to use trig. Okay? So once I use trig, how will I find from this little triangle, how will I find theta? Theta is what? I don't know. Opposite is 1. Hypotenuse is 19. What am I going to use? Sine. So shift sine of theta equals 1/19. Then we will know what theta is, correct? What is it? 3.0 blah, 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 right? Now this is a perfect example of a good time to use the answer key, right? Because we want the best answer we can get. So theta equals 3, but it's really blah, 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 blah. That is on your calculator screen right now, isn't it? Resist the urge to clear it. Because I need that theta again, don't I? Because over here, red theta, which is exactly the same thing, this is shift sine of 1/19, right? Now in this question, I know theta is 3, essentially, but we're not going to clear it. I know my hypotenuse is 300, and my A is what I don't know. What am I going to use? Cos. So, cos of 3 equals x over 300, right? So it's 300 times cos 3, but it's not really cos 3. That's already on my calculator, isn't it? So all I have to do now, since I'm looking at it on my calculator, is push times 300. Right? And I will get it. So, oh, no, I won't get it. I had to get cos first, right? Because I know that's theta. So I'm looking at theta on my screen. I need 300 cos of that. So you're looking at that on your screen. So push cos, answer, times 300, and you'll have it. Or if you have a backwards calculator, of course, you're reversing that. But I don't think anyone in here has a backwards calculator, do they? Okay. So you're going to be reversing that. So you're going to go, what you've got on your screen right now, the 3 point blah, 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 you're going to go cos times 300 equals. And then you're going to get an answer. Of what? 299. And then we're going to stop and think, does that make sense? Of course it does, because it's not rising very much. This is such a tiny angle that these two have to be very close to each other, don't they? Now, could I have used Pythagoras here? I could have used Pythagoras to find the green value, and then I could have done the similar triangle thing that Levi wanted to do. Will I ever punish you for solving a math problem? In no way. I do not care what you use. I am using trig because this is a trig unit. That's the reason. I will avoid using Pythagoras every chance I get because you guys learned Pythagoras in the 6th grade. Right? You should be all up in Pythagoras' grill. You should have no problem doing Pythagoras. You don't need to practice it. But trig, you do need to practice. So I will, given the choice between doing Pythagoras or trig, I will always choose trig. Do you have to? No. Everybody cool? Spectacular. Sebastian, you started to come up with your calculator and then I think you figured it out. Is that the case? No. Not quite. Okay.
See the sine shift theta, 1/19?
Yeah.
How do I do that equation in my calculator?
Well, you go 1 divided by 9. Well, you should use brackets. 1 divided by 19, close brackets, shift, sine.
And then that's it?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
What? Which one? Arsh, what are we talking about? Which one? Okay, so look, you have a forward calculator? Okay, watch. Watch and actually pay attention. Because I tried to get you to write this down and nobody did. So, first, I got shift sign when my calculator turns on, if it ever turns on. If it ever turns on. Maybe it'll turn on. I'd like to think it'll turn on. The batteries are dead. That's actually funny. There we go. All right. So, the first thing I did, shift sign 1. So there we go, yeah? So I know that's theta, right? So I need cos of that times 300, right? So, since it's sitting on my calculator right now, and I've written it out, I'm going to go, if I'm good with my answer key, I can use it here. So I could go 300 cos answer, because my last answer was 3.01. Right? Now, if I'm bad with my answer key, Anu, then I just look at what I've got, and I think to myself, okay, I need the cos of that 3.01, right? It's sitting on my calculator. There it is. Oh, crap. Shift sign. There it is, sitting on my calculator, right? If I write it out and I'm bad with my answer key, I can still do it because I've written it out. I need the cos of that. So it's sitting right there on my calculator, right? So you still need your answer key. I will go cos answer key times 300. And I will get the right answer. Okay? Now, the only thing we are saving is time. Right? If you get good with your answer key and you don't go to your calculator every 2 seconds, you write out all the work, you can get to a point where you only need to go to your calculator once, which will save you time. Let's look at the next question. I want the area of this triangle. To do of this rectangle, what do I need to find area? I need a length and a width, yes? So, this side, if I label it the way this triangle is labeled, this side would be little z, yes? And this side would be little x, yes? If I know little x and little z, I can find the area, can't I? So, let's talk. What do I know in this triangle? I have a theta of what? 21. What else do I have? And a hypotenuse of 12.7. What do I need? I need an opposite, which is what? Little z. And I need an adjacent, which is what? Little x. Right? Okay. So which one do you want to do first? Does it matter? Not at all. We're going to do opposite first. No problem. What uses O and H? Sine. So sine 21 equals O Z over H, 12.7. So Z equals 12.7 sine 21. Do not put that into your calculator. Why? Because that's not the final answer. If I start going to my calculator in the middle, I derail my train of thought. I know that's Z, don't I? All right. So now we'll go over and we'll get X. What am I going to use for X? Cos 21 equals X over 12.7, correct? So X equals 12.7 cos 21. Everybody cool? Should I put that in my calculator? No, because it's not the final answer. The answer I seek is X times Z, don't I? Well, if x is 12.7 cos 21 and z is 12.7 sine 21, I only need to go to my calculator once, don't I? And what will I punch in? If I have a forward calculator, 12.7 times cos 21, and you will probably need to close the brackets, times 12.7 times sine 21, and you will need to close the brackets, and then you will hit equals. Now, this times you may not need depending on your calculator. You have to figure that out. Now, if you have a backwards calculator, you just reverse the order. So here, you're going to go 21 cos times 12.7 times 21 sine times 12.7 equals. And you will get the right answer. What is it? 52.6? Nearest tenth. So 54.6. All right. 12.7 sine 21, close brackets, times 12.7 cos 21.
Like I did mine individually.
Don't do it individually. Equals 53.96, which is 54. Now, why is this important? Why is the way you handle this important? Because you people have zero confidence in yourself. And when I write an answer of 54 without showing you, and you don't have 54, what is the first thing you think? You're wrong. That's what you think. You're not wrong. You just rounded weirdly. That is why I suggest doing it all at once. Then you never have to worry about rounding. All right? Now, the other reason on a multiple choice test, the right answer is going to be there. The answer on a multiple choice test here would be 54, wouldn't it? If I was a real horse's patootie, I would make sure that choice A was what this answer would be if you did everything individually and rounded to the first tenth. Would that be the right answer on a multiple choice test? No, because the right answer on a multiple choice test would be 54. Does everybody understand? What part do you not understand? Okay. Do it all at once. That's why I show you the work on every single question. And that is why your grade 1 teacher told you to show work. Every test you have ever written since grade 1, you have always asked the teacher, I have to show my work. And your teacher has always said what? Yes, yet you continue to ask. You ask me in the 10th grade if you should show your work. Should you? Yes. And now with things like photo math, you really have to show your work because we don't believe you. You think we're stupid, but we're not. That's why we're at the front of the room. Okay? All right. Read the question. What am I seeking? MN. Right? MN is in this yellow triangle. How much information do I need to do any question in this unit? I need 2 pieces of information. What are they? No, not this triangle. in all triangles, I need either an angle and a side, I need an angle and a side, or a side and a side. Two angles doesn't help me, does it? So I need one of these two. In that yellow triangle, what do I have? I have an angle, and I could find the other angle, but that doesn't help me. So I need a side. This side is what I am seeking. It is little l. This side I can find, can't I? Because in the green triangle, what do I have? I have a green theta of what? And what is that 8.2? I have an hypotenuse of 8.2. And what is this green side? It's adjacent. And that's going to be little k, isn't it? Now, where you will screw up these questions is little k is the adjacent in the green triangle, isn't it? What is it in the yellow triangle? Hypotenuse. You have to be careful. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that when we get to the end of this. Remember, I highly recommend, since this requires us to do two triangles, that you write it all out and go to your calculator once. Everybody try to write it all out without touching your calculator. I know that's difficult. You're twitchy. Your calculator is second only to your cell phone in the addictions you have in this math class. Try to resist. You can do it. I look around as everybody is actually holding their calculator, like the security blanket in Peanuts. You're all Linus. Now I can go to my calculator, because now I don't have to worry about rounding. I don't have to write down any numbers. I don't have to decide if I'm going to round to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 decimal places. I only need to check it once. How do I punch that into my machine? It depends on your machine. And what do you get for an answer? Don't yell it out. Just try it. Because I don't want you to yell it out, because when I write the right answer, I like to hear yes from all of you. Everybody ready? And then the room sounds like a bunch of volleyballs with holes in them. Yes. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen. I give questions like this all the time. And kids always screw this up. They forget that this is going to become the hypotenuse. And they do all this work, and they give me this answer. And this answer is longer than this answer. Which is what? Impossible. Because this is a hypotenuse of the yellow triangle, isn't it? So this has to be shorter than this. Now, once again, do you have to do it all in one shot? No. But as you go further into math, this is what you're going to be writing down. You're not going to be finding the actual value because math is not real life. Right? In math, you're allowed to have this answer. In real life, you can't say, dude, I need enough fencing to cover my garden, and it's 8.2 times the cos of 33 times the sine of 49. The guy at the fence store will punch you in the nose. He won't really, but he will want to because he will think you are some kind of nerd and you are trying to make him feel stupid. That is what will happen. But in math class, you will leave it like this. Just like in math class, you will leave pi as you go further in math. Okay? Everybody cool? Now, I feel I could probably stop. Your work goes to page 67. And then what is the next thing on the list? Oh, when will the quiz be? Monday, because what are we doing tomorrow? Project. Yay! Grandma.
How? Wait. I don't know how we did it.
Oh, I know how you do it. I know how he did it. I know exactly how he did it. I'm not going to tell you how. Let me investigate
I'm gonna
further.
try. Wait.
Let me investigate further.
Go up like that. When I hear the sentence with it.
Quiet!
That JD football players for Jerry return, please meet the Heritage Wing.
Bye, have good days.
They're gonna be like, oh, I'll tell you